This is lesson 1.7, part 2. In last lesson, we focused on midpoint. In this lesson, what we're going to focus on is the distance. So to use distance, we have to use the distance formula. So the distance formula derives from the Pythagorean theorem. So if you remember, last year you learned a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So if you're trying to find this line, you need to get the c alone. So you need to square root a squared plus b squared. The way you find a and b is, well, how far are the x's and how far are the y's? So you find how far they are, you do x2 minus x1, and to find out how far the y's are, you do y2 minus y1. So we're going to use this formula to apply to the next question. All right, so what is the distance between u and v? And we have to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so let's see this. So the distance, I gave you the formula here. So let's label the points: x1, y1, x2, y2. And I'm going to use the formula. It does not matter if I said this point was x2, y2 and that one was x1, y1. It does not matter because the distance when you subtract is going to end up being the same. So I'm just going to do this. So I'm just going to plug it into the formula. So I said x2 was 4. So 4 minus negative 7, that's my x1, plus my y2, which is negative 3, minus my y1, which is just 5, and square that. So my distance equals, so when I subtract a negative, I'm adding. So that gives me 11 squared plus negative 8 squared. So the distance equals 121 plus 64. So 121 plus 64 equals, let's see, 1 plus 4 is 5. That's 8, square root of 125. Whoops, I meant square root of 185, not 125. I typed it into my calculator, and it's asking me to round to nearest tenth, so 1 decimal place. So that is going to be 13.6. So that is one way you can do it. There's also another way I do it, which is a little bit faster. You can pick whichever way you would like to do it. So it's this distance formula, except I'm just going to skip a little bit of steps, because notice that when you square something, it's always going to be positive, right? So negative 8 times negative 8 is going to be positive 64. 64. So it doesn't matter if I did negative 8 times negative 8 or 8 times 8. So the other way I do it is, I'll just show it here. Whoops, sorry. I just skip a couple of steps and I just say, well, how far is negative 7 from 4? So to get to 0 from negative 7 is 7 spaces, and to get to positive 4 is 4 more. So 7 plus 4, that's 11 spaces away. So I just do 11 squared plus, how much is 5 away from 3? Negative 3. So 5 to 0 is 5 spaces, and 0 to negative 3 is 3 spaces. So that is total 8 spaces away. So the same thing I get, it is 121 plus 64, which gives me square root of 185, which is the same thing as 13.6. So you can pick, if you're better, if a formula helps you, you could do it that way. But if you can see, well, the space from -7 to 4 is 11, so that's 11 square, because that's how far apart they are. And 5 to -3 is 8 apart. You could do it that way as well. I definitely prefer this way because it's faster, and it's, for me, it makes more sense. But if you're a formula person, use the formula. So we're going to do this one. So again, it is the same exact formula. So I will do it the formula way and my way, just so you get both. And whichever you prefer, you could use that one. So distance equals, again, it does, if you're using the formula, it really, really does help to label it. So I'm just going to do x1, y1, x2, y2. So then you get -2 minus 3 square plus 14 minus -1 square. So distance equals -5 square plus 14, this becomes plus, so that's going to be 15 square. So -5 times -5 will give you 25, and 15 times 15, give me 1 second, 15 times 15 gives you 225. So that is square root of 250. And again, I'm going to plug it in the calculator and round it to the nearest 10. So square root of 250 gives me 15.81, so which is going to be 15.8. I will do it my way as well. Okay, so -2 to 3. So -2 to 0 is 2 spaces, and 0 to 3 is 3 more spaces, so that's 5 away. So that's going to be 5 square, plus, same thing with 14 and -1. 14 to 0 is 14 spaces. 0 to -1 is 1 space, so that is total 15 spaces away. Again, if you notice, you get 25 plus 225 again, which is the same thing as square root of 250. So I'm just skipping this step. I'm kind of doing that step mentally. Alright, so this is all for lesson 1.7. So you did midpoint in the earlier video, you're doing distance in the earlier video, this video, and yeah, that's all to it.